Before we begin, I have to warn you about something. What you're about to hear is not a normal story. It's one of the oldest, most hidden, and most dangerous mysteries in human history, and I promise you this, after this video, you will never read the Bible or look at ancient history the same way again. So do this right now. Hit that like button, because what you're going to discover today is something very few people dare to talk about. And subscribe before you forget, because what we're about to reveal in the next few minutes will connect directly to other massive mysteries that you will definitely want to follow. Ready? Take a deep breath, because this is one of those videos you will want to watch all the way to the last second. These beings once walked the earth, and the Bible describes them as the mistake that almost wiped out all of humanity. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the true identity of the Nephilim, an identity that most translations hide. And you'll see the direct connection between them, the Great Flood, and an even more disturbing possibility, that these beings may not have vanished forever. But first, listen to this. In the Book of Enoch it is written, "And they conceived and gave birth to giants, whose height was 3,000 cubits. 3,000 cubits. The story, as you'll soon see, is much stranger than it seems. It all begins in Genesis chapter 6, one of the most enigmatic passages in the entire Bible. It's a section so brief it feels like a whisper before the storm. Yet hidden within it is the greatest mystery of ancient times. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took for themselves those they chose. From this forbidden union came the Nephilim. Now, most people make one fundamental mistake, confusing the sons of God with the Nephilim. They are not the same. One is the creator, the other is the consequence. And what a monstrous consequence it was. The oldest interpretation, supported by Jewish tradition and the Book of Enoch itself, states that the sons of God were angels. Angels who abandoned their proper place, driven by desire, and materialized themselves to unite with human women. They crossed a cosmic boundary that should never have been crossed, and the result of this crime was neither human nor angelic. It was something in between, an existential anomaly. The Nephilim. Some translations call these beings mighty ones, but that barely scratches the surface. There's one detail that changes absolutely everything. The word Nephilim does not mean giants. It comes from the Hebrew root nephal, meaning to fall. They were the fallen, or more precisely, those who cause others to fall. According to ancient texts, these beings were violent tyrants, dominating, cunning, and hungry for power. The Bible describes a time when the wickedness of man multiplied. And the Nephilim were not the only cause, but they were the catalyst. The world had become unrecognizable, and God made a drastic decision. The flood was not just a moral punishment. It was surgery. The planet had been genetically and spiritually corrupted, and to preserve one single pure human lineage, Noah's God needed to completely reset humanity. The ark didn't just save life. It preserved the original DNA of creation. But here arises a problem that theologians have tried to avoid for centuries. Was the cleansing complete, or did something survive? Centuries after the flood, when the Israelite spies entered the land of Canaan, their report was so terrifying it paralyzed an entire nation. They said, "There we saw the giants, the sons of Enoch, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers." The word used there is the same, Nephilim. But if all of them were destroyed, how could they exist again? This is where the story enters forbidden territory. There are three theories, and none of them are comfortable. The first says the rebellion happened again. A second group of angels descended after the flood, creating a new generation of Nephilim. If that's true, then the flood failed. The second theory is even more unsettling. Nephilim DNA may have entered the ark. Noah is described as perfect in his generations, but the Bible does not say the same about his wife, his daughters-in-law, or even his sons. It's possible that one of these women carried the recessive gene, and the ark accidentally preserved the same corruption it was meant to eliminate. In this case, the threat wasn't outside. It was traveling inside the boat. The third theory suggests that the word Nephilim in Numbers was metaphorical, used to describe intimidating warriors. But that explanation collapses when we remember that the Bible names entire tribes of giants in Canaan: the Anakim, the Rephaim, the Zamzummim, and the most famous of all, Goliath, who stood nearly 10 feet tall. Here we enter a chapter that archaeology avoids at all costs. Between the late 19th and early 20th centuries, newspapers like the New York Times reported discoveries of enormous human skeletons between 8 and 11 feet tall found in several places around the world. Smithsonian reports mentioned these finds, but today both the newspapers and the Smithsonian deny everything. And the strangest part? All the skeletons vanished, disappeared, hidden, archived, or destroyed. The most feared theory says that the existence of giants would force a rewrite of all history, biblical and scientific, at the same time. And perhaps the world is not ready for that. When Israel finally entered Canaan, God commanded them to completely destroy those nations. Why such severity? Because those tribes preserved the corrupted lineage that had caused chaos before the flood. Joshua's battles were not just territorial wars. They were a continuation of the same war that began with the fallen angels. If the flood was round 1, Canaan was round 2. David did not face just one giant, he faced a legacy. Goliath had brothers, all giants, and David's warriors hunted them down one by one, as if erasing a forbidden chapter of human history. But the final chapter of this story may not be closed. Many scholars believe that the Nephilim are connected to the prophecy of the serpent, mentioned in Genesis 3:15, in opposition to the seed of the woman. In other words, the pre-flood corruption may have been an attempt to prevent the birth of the Messiah, and later, an attempt to corrupt humanity again in the end times. If that is true, the return of these beings is not just possible, it is prophesied. The story of the Nephilim isn't just about giants. It's about an ancient war, a spiritual conflict manifesting in the physical world. The Nephilim were biological weapons, instruments of corruption, tools meant to destroy the human lineage from within. The flood tried to erase them. Israel faced their remnants, and the future may see their return, because this war never ended. It simply changed battlegrounds. And if you think this was intense, get ready. There are beings even older behind all of this beings who led the first rebellion in history. The story of the Nephilim is only chapter 1. Click the video appearing on your screen and continue with me into the investigation of the fallen angels. Thanks for watching.